Okay. It is now recording.
It isn't half as fancy as this. But I mean, listen, I just figured if I didn't We don't want to dance show. We don't want to dance. You don't want to make Judy mad, not today. That's mine. Yeah. That was Oh, yeah. It's like a break of sunshine. There's a chair right
You want me to sign your name? Sure. It's a petition. Nothing. I'm not telling you. I'm going to draw it up after you all sign.
That's why I admire
I didn't either.
Huh? They need water. And usually it breaks their own pets. It's not cold. They've got water over there. I've got a community council. We're going to have Allison should stop doing carrying the chairs. I've only been carrying the chairs since 8:30 this morning. She will give you the ground rules.
Are you ready for office? Are you throwing rocks?
Thank you, Philip, to the rescue.
I cannot sit here. Oh my gosh. I can't sit here. I'm leaving. I'm sorry.
know, it's service, but at least to give you
If she didn't put something on her ass, you couldn't go.
All right, let's do that. Want to leave it if something gets up like it's also will produce sonic wave.
Good morning. I would like to welcome all of you to our annual Candidates Forum. We will go ahead and we will begin with the pledge to the U.S. flag for those of you who were not here earlier for the Community Council Board meeting. So if everybody would please rise, and we're just going to do the U.S. Flag pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. I just want to go over a few ground things before we get started. And we will have a full hour and 15 minutes for questioning the candidates. If we need to go longer, I will ask the candidates at that time if they are up to more time, and it will be the candidates' decision. I think they might be more willing to go a little bit longer if we treat them nicely. Please let us remember that this is a volunteer, unpaid position, and these people up here have graciously agreed to run for the board and are willing to commit themselves to 3 years to conduct the business of the fort. And I would like to treat all of them with the grace and decorum that they are due. There have been every year it gets asked, how can Community Council sponsor a candidates forum? IRS 501c3 regulations are posted on the TV up front, and anybody who would like a link to the IRS website that says that we can indeed do this for educational purposes, I would be happy to send them the website. Community Council cannot endorse anybody, and we cannot show bias. Even in my own conversations with people, I can only give facts and state the case. Come to Community Council and judge for yourself. Come to the forum and judge for yourself. Community Council and its board members may not endorse anybody. So next. These are the rules that were posted in the paper. We are beginning at 10 o'clock, and I just want to go over some of the actual things that we're going to be doing today. We are employing some new technology here. Aren't you all just super excited about this? Well, that again has been in the newspaper and it has been in the e-newsletter, but for those of you who don't get it, I'm going to go over that now. The opening remarks by each candidate will be limited to 2 minutes. The opening statements will start at this end. The candidates are seated in the order that they are on the ballot, so that as you have a visual memory of the candidates, this is the order they are in on the ballot. Opening remarks will begin with Ms. Forrester. Closing remarks will begin with Mr. Rosetsky. Each candidate will have 2 minutes. Candidates' responses to audience questions will be limited to 2 minutes. When multiple candidates are asked to respond, a different candidate will be the first to respond each time. I have my recording sheet. This way, the same candidate is not always beginning the response. So we'll have different people beginning the response when multiple people have been asked to respond. If you in the audience would like to ask a question, we ask that you line up at that microphone over there. Your initial question is limited to 1 minute. Questioners may direct their question to any number of candidates. You can choose just one candidate. You can choose 3 candidates. You can choose all of them. It's the questioner's job to determine who they are directing that question to. The questioner, please remain at the microphone until you have gotten your response, because you may want to do a follow-up question. Your follow-up question is limited to 30 seconds. And then the follow-up questions by the candidates, they will have 1 minute to follow up with that. I know this seems really confusing, but it'll get really clear in just a minute. All audience members will be given the opportunity to ask a question prior to 11:15 before a questioner may return for a second question, okay? So everybody in the audience gets a chance at one time up until 11:15, and then if we've gone through that, then people may come up and do it. Okay, in all circumstances, when the timer goes off, the speaker will become silent, okay? All right, at 11:15 or thereabout, all candidates will be giving their opening statements. It's going to be beyond 11:15 because we're going to start a timer for 1 hour and 15 minutes for the forum as well. At that time then, whenever that hour and 15 minutes is up, the candidates will give their 2-minute closing remarks. When that is over, we will adjourn and go to the lobby for a candidate's reception, and then you can have an up-close and personal meeting with the candidates during that time as well. Oh yes, I may choose to end the forum at any time due to disruptive or rude behavior on anybody's part. I have actually seen this done. I know nobody's going to make me do that today. Okay. I would like to introduce to you Christine Michaud. She is a Winter Texan, and she has agreed to be our timekeeper. So in the interest of timekeeping, we will have the timer up, and the candidates can't see it up here, but Christine's going to be out there with the iPad. She's going to start the time, then flip it over so you can see it. Okay, so you'll also see those timers counting down. And I'm going to pull this out. So all the times are labeled, the opening and closing statement. Okay? Oh, that's very cool. I flipped it upside down for them and it flipped upside right on the TV. Well, that's very cool. When we start, I know, it's just like, this is ridiculous, right? It still looks not right, but you saw the flip, right? So when our first opening statement begins, Christine is going to push the 2-minute one, like that, and it's going to start counting down. And she's also going to push to the 1 hour and 1:15-minute one, 1 hour and 15-minute one for a countdown for the forum. The countdown for the forum will keep on counting. If somebody does not use all of their 2 minutes or all their whatever, she double taps and it resets the timer. There's just a very short little sound when that timer goes off, but this way both the candidates and you all can see the time. Are there any questions?
That's marvelous. That's wonderful.
Are you all just really thrilled? Thank you so much. You are not going to mess up. And Christine, I assured Christine that if she messed up, it's okay. We will just go. And since she does not sit on the board of community council, and she's a Winter Texan, is doing this very graciously of her own time also, we are not going to take anything out on her. Oh yes, I need to double check. We're to start our time. Thank you. Are we okay?
It started again.
Already going.
It's going.
Oh, well, let's,
There it is.
there it is. Okay, awesome. Okay. I feel like we're at the Derby or something. If there are no further questions, are we ready to begin?
Yeah.
Awesome, very good. Okay, then we are going to start with the opening statements, and I'm going to sit down and shut up. And Christine's going to actually start the timers when the person starts talking. So I will ask those who are asking questions, when you come over to the microphone, go ahead and hyperventilate and everything else you need to do, and then chill, and then ask your question. That's when your time will start.
Do they need to say who they are?
I would like it if you said who you are, because I have a little space on my sheet that says who the questioner was, okay? So I would like it if you said who you are. We are recording. You will find this on the website for anybody who needs it. But please don't take 5 minutes to settle down, because Christine's not going to start that timer until you actually start talking, okay? All right, thank you so much. Oh, should I introduce the candidates?
Yeah.
I am so sorry. Let me introduce the candidates. Okay, running in the first position on the ballot is Miss Gina Forrester. Second position, Miss Camden Ort. Third position, Garland Young. Fourth position, Bill Herman. Fifth position, Dan Sullivan. Sixth position, Kent Partlow. And seventh position, John Rosetsky. So thank you all so much for being here, and I know that everybody is going to be extremely polite to you all today. Thank you. When you are ready to start. Are you the sergeant at arms?
Well, I figured this at least would make it get their attention.
Okay,
Somebody that could be down here.
yeah, absolutely.
She should stand over here with it.
You can.
The people in the back cannot see. The ladle for the punch has been threatened. Okay.
Allison, could they stand?
Pardon me?
Could they stand?
Yes, I think so. Actually, I'm going to leave it up to them. The problem is those chairs are pretty heavy,
That's true.
and to get up and push them backward. And as one who's fallen over when they've been going backward and broken the wrist, I'm going to leave that up to you all, whether you want to stand or sit. The chairs are heavy. They do not slide well on the carpet.
That's true.
Can John take his glasses off?
Yes.
No, their prescription at this point while I'm waiting for my new prescription to come in.
All right. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and stand since I'm on the edge here.
Good morning, my name is Gina Forrester, and I have lived here on the fort since 2013. Like everybody else here, came here, fell in love with the place, and eventually after a couple of months bought property and started to look around to see what there was to do here in Fort Clark. Started to meet some people, and I got involved with community council because they needed a secretary, so I became the secretary, and still am. Then I got involved with Fort Clark Days as a volunteer in 2014. In 2015, Helena McBride and I decided to take the challenge of running Fort Clark Days, and we did the best we could, so that was a lot of fun. And this year I am handling the vendors, both the arts and crafts and the food vendors. I also volunteer at Hope Outreach in Brackville, and that has opened my eyes a lot to the community. And Brackville as well as here, you know, what the needs are, what people say and everything. So it's kind of nice, and I play golf. And I enjoy playing with the couples on Thursdays and socializing, as they say, so that I enjoy. And going over to Darla's and getting together with some of the ladies and just chatting about what's going on the fort and finding out what some of the needs are here on the fort and in Brackettville as well, and just trying to come up with solutions to some of the things. In the past, I have lived in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania for about 15 years. While there, I, oh, that was quick. You gotta hurry.
I know I just turned the volume up on the TV, thank you. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Kim Van Ort. I've been here on Fort Clark for about 5.5 years now. I've been a member of the Horse Club for a little over 5 years. I felt that now that I'm a stay-at-home mom, I wanted to be more involved with the fort and the things that go on around here. I truly feel that the younger generation really needs to be involved. We're the future of this fort. If we don't step up and start getting involved, who's going to be taking care of the fort when people that have been doing it are no longer around? So that's why I'm trying to run for the board. Thank you. And the timer wasn't started.
It was, oh, the wrong
No,
time,
the
okay,
wrong
it was still
timer.
2 minutes, it was a still 2 minute time. Thank you.
Morning, my name's Alan Young, and I run for the board and got elected and sat on the board for 3 years. I moved here in 2006. I got involved picking up trash with my wife and stuff like that. I belong to the art club. I'm in the preservation committee, chairman of that committee. Some of you see me working on the door in the entranceway. I throwed my hat in again because I think that there's some solutions that could be taken care of. I enjoyed sitting on the board. I lost a lot of friends. I got them back, and that comes with the territory. But if I'm elected, I promise to give everyone out there 110% of my time. Thank you.
My name is Bill Herman. I presently serve on the board. This is my chance to run for the second time. I've been on the fort since 1980, and on the board, we are doing good things, and I'm not doing this personally. This is a board operation and an employee operation, and we're working together to move the fort forward. I'm involved in a lot of volunteer stuff on the fort and in town to keep my finger on the pulse of the activities and what's going on and what's needed. So I would appreciate to continue working on the board to finish the projects we have started. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Dan Sullivan, and I'm happy to see all of you here. Thank you for taking the time and showing the concern and interest to be here this morning. I first became involved with the fort in 2003. We moved here to live here in 2010, at the end of 2010. I've served on the Architectural Committee, the Election Bylaws Rewrite Committee, the Declaration Rewrite Committee. And the reason I'm running is I have been encouraged by several friends and acquaintances to run for the board. And I feel that my extensive background in business and serving on board of directors, chairing them, serving as treasurers on a number of them, would allow me to contribute some positive things to the fort and to the association. I strongly believe in some basic principles. That is that we need to operate under the law, in compliance with the law, which I think everyone would agree to, and also in compliance with our governing documents, and at all times to keep the interests of the membership at heart, and always consider that. I appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
See if I can do this without tripping over the wires and everything. It'd be embarrassing to have one of the EMS people have to be treated by his coworkers. My name's Kent Partlow. I came to the fort in 2004 after retiring from the U.S. Air Force. I have family members that live on the fort here. I'm engaged with the community through working as an EMT with Kinney County EMS and as a volunteer firefighter with several other people in the community, one of which is Philip in the back room there, hard worker, appreciate your work. I was asked by several people if I would run for the board. Up until that point, I really hadn't thought of it. But if they feel that I can do a good job, then I'll do the best I can at it. I think I'm a fairly simple person. I'm not gonna rehash everything that you're gonna read on your ballot that comes in the mail or in the newspaper. I don't like to talk about myself all that much, so I won't rehash that. I do want to bring three things with me if I'm elected to the board, and that would be honesty, transparency, and fiscal responsibility. Because if you have those three things, you can get everything else. Thank you.
Very good.
Okay, I'll take these off for a second. Hello, my name is John Rosetsky. I came to the fort and have been studying this place since I first bought and assisted my grandmother in purchasing the house. Calling Granny every 2 weeks to get a status report on the home has been exciting. I injured my spine in service in Washington, D.C., saving another coworker's life. They told me in 2004 I'd never walk again, but here I am. Pardon my voice, I have a sinus infection and laryngitis, so I'm not my normal projected self at this moment. Half of my declassified resume would scare most people for the customers who I served in the town. I came down here to retire and save the family homestead, and I bring a lot of contract experience, federal, local, from RFP to RFQs. A RFP is a request for a proposal. RFQ is a request for a report or a quote. One of the smaller contracts I've read and helped redline has been 13,000 pages long. I'm darn good at it. I work quietly in silence and speak more languages than most humans should be allowed to. Also, bureaucrats, one of them. I love it here. I look forward to moving here and retiring here for decades. I love my neighbors. I love some forts. And I want to see this place do nothing but succeed for the next generation and secure our future financially, fiscally, and as friends. We have enough war songs to sing. Let's hear a new song calling it the success of Fort Clark. Thank you for your time.
Can we give our candidates a round of applause, please? Thank you so much for agreeing to be here and sitting in the hot seat. And now, for those who have questions, if you would go ahead and start lining up at the microphone.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you're allowed to.
I'm Charles Fields, and one of the candidates mentioned we need to open our fort to younger people. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I also think that we need to increase our volunteerism along, particularly with the younger people, make them become stakeholders in this. How can the board facilitate that? And this question is to everyone.
Stop it, and, yeah, go ahead and restart it, and then you'll stay at the mic, okay? And you're asking to everyone? his would be that, and the microphone would be that one, and then their responses. Each candidate gets 2 minutes. Okay? That's all right. Let's go ahead and start in the middle with, no, I'm not, I'm just gonna start down at that end. John, go ahead first, please, if you want to respond.
I wholeheartedly agree with what you're saying in community involvement, and I'm definitely impressed at the way you mobilized the Explorer post and got some trails cleaned up. That is a fine example of what can start. We have children here and people who work and live and breathe at Brackettville ISD, and there are volunteers, community service that can be done to also get them feeling like they're part of the fort, knowing the trails are safe and cleaning them up under proper direction is a fantastic idea. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Congratulations on an excellent question. This is one that's been baffling me for years also. My best guess at this point would be try to partner with the schools or local organizations to try and increase desire for the children to stay here after they graduate instead of once they see daylight after graduation running for the door. Also try and create areas to where people would want to come here, other than being simply a nice place to go when you're done doing everything else. We have a lot to offer. It's all in how we package it that's going to draw people in.
Thank you for the question, Charles. There's a number of ways that we can accomplish, and I believe your question is how can we get the young people involved? I believe that if we have our committee structures set out, and when a committee is formed and appointed by the board, that it's given specific instructions as to what its goal is, what it's to do, that it's appointed annually and reappointed annually, so you don't have committees that have the same people sitting on them for 5, 6, 10 years having to do all the work, and that you can get some fresh input. Then the committees have to be promoted through our websites, through emails sent out to all the members to encourage them. And again, the committee meetings, at least some of them should be scheduled in the evenings, because young people work, they have jobs, and they're not available to come during the day. So let's make those committees accessible to the young people, and let the young people know that they're accessible, and get them involved. I believe that would give us a good start towards getting them involved and having our committees be very effective. Thank you.
In order to have committees and volunteers, you have to have people who want to volunteer. You cannot make them volunteer. So that's number one. The second thing is, when there are committees and volunteers working, they get berated, yelled at, cursed at, told that they're idiots. Why would you want to serve on something like that? So, a volunteer is going to have to be someone who wants to volunteer. Once you get the volunteers, then you can put programs in motion.
When before I moved here, I volunteered at Garner State Park for a total of 10 years. And when I first got there, every month, the volunteers were given a potluck. I think the volunteers, whether they're volunteering on the committee or volunteering on the project, they've got to be shown appreciation for their work. And I think that the board or the different committee should come up with projects, and then at the end of that project, when it's finished, you know, a potluck where everybody brings something to show appreciation and they're recognized. I know now at Garner State Park this is not done, and they're having a great turnover of volunteers. I enjoyed volunteering up there. I enjoyed sitting on the architectural committee, the preservation committee. I enjoyed working over at Dickman Hall. But I think as the board should try to figure out some way to make the community at large realize that when you volunteer on a project or a committee, that they should be shown appreciation somehow or another. And that will be one of my goals since the question was brought up, Charles, to see that happens. Thank you.
Okay, to answer your question, part of it is, and I've had people, friends of mine, come to me and say that they don't feel appreciated. They don't feel like their voice matters and what they have to say matters. And that's part of it. We have to make them feel like what they have to say and their opinions and their ideas matters just as much as the next person. And a lot of the younger generation feels that way. They feel like it doesn't matter what they say or what they do. So to get them more involved, we gotta listen to them. We gotta listen to their ideas. We can't belittle them. Trying to make things where they can be more involved, like a couple of the other guys already said, due to the fact that a lot of them on here are Border Patrol. Their schedules are so crazy. Their schedules change every 6 weeks, so they have to work their schedule, and we should try to work around their schedule also. I mean, if they're on midnights, they can't be doing something at 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. They gotta be able to sleep, or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. A lot of people on here work Saturdays also. I came from a job where I worked 6 days a week. I couldn't be involved. I worked 6 days a week. I was gone 13 hours a day. Now that I'm a stay-at-home mom, I can be more involved that way. I can have them come talk to me and me voice my opinions on the board if I get elected onto the board. That's where we've got to start.
The candidates can still see the time.
Just recently, I was talking to somebody about this. This has always been a concern of mine, mainly because of volunteering for Fort Clark Days and never having enough volunteers. We do have younger people coming in, and I've talked to several people and said, let's get all the clubs together, let's have a fair, let's let them know what we have to offer, let's work with them. That's the only way we're gonna do it. The majority of us are retired. We have the time, they don't. Let's work with them to be able to let them come in and help us. I mean, that's what we want, that's what we need, because they're the ones that are going to be taking over when we're gone. So, I hope we can do it, I truly do.
Thank you. Do you have a redirect?
Not necessarily, but I would like to say, I think that all of those were excellent answers. Thank you very much, I appreciate it. Whomever is elected, keep everybody's responses in mind, please.
Thank you very much. And if you just give me 1 second here, I'll see if I can get this brought back up for us. No, it's not. It's because I took my stuff off. Because I disconnected from my phone, so you always see any messages coming in as they were coming in. Oh my gosh, is that really showing up? Yeah, so when I did that. Okay.
I've got a watch if you need it.
The timers still work for you all, if the audience can't see the timers. Okay, so we're going to go without the audience seeing the timers, and the candidates can see them. At any time you want to see how much time we have remaining, Christine will hold it up, okay?
That's good. I can see colors, not specifics, so just point at me and say, shut up when I'm done. Just like all.
No, but I'll go ahead and restart the TV, and I might be able to get it for the next one, okay? Okay, all right, next questioner, please.
Hi, my name's Kathleen Warren, and I know most of you people, except I know nothing about Kim.
What?
Okay, we've been coming on here since 1982, and I've been volunteering for different committees, doing a lot of work and everything, so I really did get out, and my belief is if you really want to know something, get out and do it. I really applaud your husband, and the Border Patrol. Our neighbor's Border Patrol, okay? And we're very quiet when we know that he's working. I mean, has to take a nap, comes back, you know, we check with him all the time. So now that you're a stay-at-home mom, my question is, do you think you could get more active in the committees and the volunteers? And also, I think it's great, all you guys have wonderful ideas, and the demographics of the sport is definitely changing. The young people are moving in. So that was all I was gonna say, but thank you.
That's a very good question, and now that I am a stay-at-home mom, I do feel I can get more involved. That's why when I was approached asking if I wanted to be a board member, I said, yeah, I'll start with that. I should be able to get more involved with the different committees and stuff now. I have a lot more time than I used to. As I stated earlier, I used to work 13 hours a day. I'd leave at 7 in the morning. I'd be lucky if I was pulling back onto the sport at 7:30 at night. So for me, it will be a lot easier now to get involved and keep my involvement with the horse club and everything else also. My son's very well behaved. He's loved by everyone. If I need to, I can bring him with me. If I've got people that I know that are friends in the audience, I'm sure they would be more than willing to watch him for me because he's pretty calm and quiet. So I should be able to take him with me and do whatever is needed.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Hunt?
Good morning, thank you. My name is Bill Bond. My question is for all candidates. What is your opinion of the pending designation of our historic district to be a national historic landmark and the significant tourism and preservation dollars that designation will generate?
And this is for all candidates?
Yes.
Let's go ahead and start with Mr. Young, please.
I was born and raised in a area at Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, about 16 miles from that. And I seen that go from a landmark to up to a national park. I seen two of my uncles that had summer homes on the Potomac River being taken away from them by eminent domain. In some ways it's good, in other ways it's bad. How's it going to affect it? The ramifications on something like this is tremendous. I know where I used to fish and stuff when they turned the C&O Canal into a national monument. You can't go there and fish and launch boats like you could as a kid. It sounds great if you bring a lot of tourism in, but then you have a lot of government involvement in the community, air community, and I think we have enough government involvement in it as a whole. And that's my opinion on turning this into a national monument. Thank you.
It's a National Historic Landmark.
Annual historical landmark.
Mr. Herman, would you like to respond?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Mr. Herman, I let him know that Mr. Herman wanted to respond.
I have reservations because I don't know what it means. I don't understand what he's going to do, how involved the government is, how regulations are going to affect us. And until we have anything like that, so that we understand, I cannot agree to do anything because, you know, and I'm not saying this to be disrespectful, but Mr. Hahn is doing it on his own. I don't think anybody here is involved in this. So we don't know what it entails to get done. Until we do that, I would not want to make any changes.
Mr. Sullivan, would you like to respond?
I would. I certainly do not know all the details and the intricacies involved here, but I do know that going to a national park is one thing and going to a national historic landmark district is another thing. The two don't necessarily go together, so having one doesn't mean you're going to have the other. In Minnesota, for instance, the Voyager National Park at the Canadian border is a huge park, and it never was a National Historic Landmark District. I also wonder, I have to wonder, what the likelihood would be of the federal government coming in and having a national park in such a small area. It wouldn't be much of a park. So I don't have a lot of concerns about that, but I suppose it wouldn't hurt to have Mr. Hahn give the details involving it. So for the most part, I think it'd be a wonderful thing. I think we have to be careful how it's done. I believe it's something that would have to be voted on. And so I'd say, you know, have at it. Let's see what people want to do, and let's get whatever information we need. Thank you.
Mr. Partlow, would you like to respond?
I think we've all heard the statement before that those who don't remember history are doomed to repeat it. So history is something that's important to me, and I think to all of us. I do like the idea of making sure that buildings, areas on Fort Clark are maintained for posterity so that they can enjoy as much as we have what has happened here in the past. It concerns me that there are certain things that may affect our ability to maintain the historical areas. But on the other hand, I also recognize that individuals purchase property on the fort, and we have to consider them also. This is going to be the tricky part about being a member of the board of directors, striking that balance between what Group A wants and what Group B wants, so that everybody benefits. To be honest, Bill, you probably won't agree with me all the time if I get on the board, but we've dealt with each other in the past. I try to be as fair as I possibly can. Sometimes I make good decisions, sometimes I learn from the decisions I make. But I would have to look into the issue of designating it as a historic district and find out what the ramifications are going to be. It sounds like a very good idea on the surface. I just have to dig in and find a little bit more detail before I can get into it.
Mr. Rosetsky, would you like to respond?
Yes. Pardon the laryngitis again. I've worked in historic districts right downtown in Washington, D.C. Parking is quite the problem. So that balance between who's allowed to park, beware. Historic districts have a way of increasing property value. Granted, historic restoration and recognition is most important. Whose restoration and whose history are we celebrating is pretty much a very, very multi-decade facet. There's a lot of ethnic communities that are represented here beyond the historic district. I'm not familiar with what you have on the map planned. It has its pros and cons, definitely. It provides tax breaks if they're followed properly. It also provides a benchmark of excellence. In at least that neighborhood, you can always see a certain level of excellence. That benchmark may not be attainable at this second, but with further investigation, I do believe those benchmarks and striving for those goals are an honorable and noble thought. There's a lot of history here, and starting in one area, recognizing the usefulness as a history, the usefulness as a road sign, and then there's a function of us as a fort. I love one little sign that says, back in 1864, absolutely nothing happened on this spot. by the Texas State Hysterical Society. Let's not make this a joke. This is a serious issue that involves all of us on the fort. Great question.
Ms. Forrester, would you like to respond?
Mr. Hahn, I completely respect you. You love history. You're just so involved in it. Fort Clark, it's important that we preserve the history. And at the same time, it's important that we respect the members of Fort Clark. And this is our home. And yes, we want to preserve Fort Clark, but at the same time, we need to remember that we all live here. I don't think I would want it to become a big tourist site. It's like, I want to be able to enjoy being here in the future the same way I do now.
Ms. Van Ort, would you like to respond?
Yes. To answer your question, I'd need to know a lot more information about it becoming a landmark and how it's going to affect all of us that live here before I could tell you if it's something that, yes, I think we should do, or no, we shouldn't do it. Depending on how it affects the people, will determine that. I personally need to know a lot more about it and what's going to happen with doing it.
Mr. Hahn, do you have a redirect?
Yes.
Okay, you have 30 seconds for your redirect.
The Fort Clark Historic District was placed in the National Register in 1979. Absolutely nothing has changed in the Historic District for those 38 years. The difference between a Register Historic District and a landmark district is the difference between a Ford and a Rolls-Royce. Now, I have presented, I was denied the opportunity to present a briefing, a detailed briefing to the Board of Directors. The Community Council was gracious enough.
Thank you. Your time is up, sir. Thank you. Does anybody want to come back? You also have a 1-minute response, a redirect to Mr. Hahn if you would like it. Does anybody want that opportunity? Okay, Mr. Partlow?
Is this something that we could address with the Historical Society in length?
This process has been going on for 4 years, Ken. 4 years. It only affects the Historic District. 96% of the property owners in the Historic District voted with their concurrence to pursue the nomination, including Fort Clark Springs Association.
Okay, well, I'm not a member yet, but it sounds like something we can look into and discuss. I'm sure there's many other people in this audience that would like to have a discussion on it, as well as myself.
Is there anybody else who'd like to respond?
Yes, working in such districts, and granted, I think it's a wonderful idea once mapped out and presented. I understand being denied the historic district or being denied the right to present it as a whole, and this process does take time. I think it's on a good path for the taxation for those involved to make the decisions who live in that neighborhood. Some other parts of the fort are not affected, and the Historical Society has been placing up parts here. We could all say this is historical because General Patton once walked by. Chambersburg, for example, has a George Washington once slept underneath the board as we were hiring them. It's worth a little sign. If the residents agree with it, I think it should be addressed as a residence and concern. That is their district, that is their unit, that's where they reside.
Thank you, Mr. Rosetsky.
Thank you, that's how the
Anybody else
process
would like to
works,
respond?
John. That's exactly
Excuse
how
me,
the process
thank you.
works.
Is there anybody else on the board who would like to respond? Okay, Mr. Young.
I'd like to tell the audience that Harpers Ferry was a national landmark, and then it became a national park. The C&O Canal was a national landmark, and then it became a national park. It really affected the people in Harpers Ferry that lived there. Most of them don't live there now. The residents that did live there, their homes, they could live there until he passed away. They couldn't pass them on to their relatives. In the case of the C&O Canal, if you had summer cabins on the C&O Canal, you weren't allowed to own them. In fact, they bought them. The government bought them. There's nothing in there that says that once it becomes a national landmark, that it won't become a national park. The tourism gets so great, then the government back in D.C. would say, oh, this needs to be a national park. Thank you.
And thank you. Is there anybody else on the board? who would like
Mr.
to
Young,
respond?
you
I'm
are
sorry, Mr.
seriously
Mr.
misinformed.
Hine, Mr. Hine, respectfully, I ask
This
that.
was a redirect to me, and he is seriously misinformed.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else, any other candidate who would like to respond? Okay, our next questioner, please. Okay, since everybody, there's nobody else that would like a first opportunity? Okay, I know that we have some people who would like to ask second questions, so you may proceed at this time. This is going to be the 1 minute question. It's going to be just like first opportunity. Yes, that's correct. Thank you, sir. You may go.
For this election, ballots were sent to ineligible voters. My question to every member of, which is against Texas law, my question to all the candidates is, should the Fort Clark Board and staff always comply with Texas law and our dedicatory instruments?
Thank you. Mr. Mr. Herman, I'm going to call on you for the first response, please.
We have to follow, number one, the homeowner association rules and regulations and laws. And we have to start with that. One of the committees that was set up was to change the declaratory instruments because they were not in compliance. So we had a committee set up to do that, an ad hoc committee. They came up with the new changes. We are still going through them to see what we have to comply with. So we have rules that we have to comply with. That's number one. And then we have also other rules and regulations that you have to comply with. We have our own, what's the word I want? Rules and regulations. We have our own bylaws that we have to comply with. But the main one is we follow homeowners association rules. That's one of the reasons we have to make changes in how we work our operation.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan, would you like to respond?
Yes. Absolutely. We need to follow the law. The law trumps our documents. The documents that Mr. Herman referred to were supplied to the Board of Directors last May. That's 9 months ago. And they're still there. They haven't been put forth to the membership to vote on the changes. Some of those changes were incorporated into that document, and they were also referenced to the exact statute that required anyone voting for the Board of Directors must be a property owner in the association. That's the law. The law seems to be not that important. I understand that the board obtained a legal decision or opinion, a legal opinion from their attorneys on it, and their attorneys told them also that those folks could not vote. Whether they should be able to vote or not morally is a separate question. The question is very simple. Do we follow the law? Yes or no? The law says, very simply and clearly, they cannot vote, yet they were all sent ballots. Our attorneys that we have on a retainer and are paying for told our board of directors that they cannot vote. They were still sent ballots. It was 300, or around 300. One time the figure was put out at 300, another time 280 some. And I don't like to go to the past and point fingers and play the blame game. We need to look forward to the future. We've had enough divisiveness here. Let's learn from those past mistakes, look to the future, and go forward in compliance with the law and our documents, as long as they don't conflict with the law. The law always trumps our personal documents. And I know sometimes people have called me a troublemaker, and it's because I've stood up and spoke
Thank you, Mr.
to that
Sullivan.
fact. Thank you.
Mr. Partlow, would you like to respond?
I'll try and keep it short and sweet, but yes, I believe it's Title 11 of Texas Property Code governs subdivision and condominium homeowners associations, and it's state law. It must be complied with. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Thank you, Mr. Partlow. Mr. Rozetsky, would you like to respond?
Yes, we'll have to put this in relation to your previous question. It starts at federal, goes to state. If you're not in compliance with that, then there's the local. And I don't think we should have to re-explain it several times to people who start off their question with, I don't understand. There's voter fraud out there. I've seen identity fraud out there. I've seen my identity tried to be stolen from a direct source in this office and thrown out to Acuna. Amy Rozetsky does not exist. Some other John Rozetskys do not exist. I'm John Rozetsky the third. Let's get that straight. I went to the hospital and I was prepped for open heart surgery thinking that they're running IV for somebody, and someone said I look great for a 77-year-old man. You pull up that information, you see that that guy has been cremated as in Arlington National Cemetery right now. That's a very tough neighborhood to get into. I agree with pursuit and illegal voters, and if they were sent an illegal ballot, should be re-identified as a legal ballot by the accounting firms and disqualified as received. And if that is a case, that has to be proactively watched by the ballot. I propose a ballot availability committee. Are these people still even alive, and do they exist? I go to jumping through hoops all the time just to make sure I have my proper voting registration so I can vote in March. Thank you. Great question.
Ms. Forrester, would you like to respond?
Yes. My only response is, since I'm not on the board and I have not been involved in it, I apologize. I don't have an answer for you.
Ms. Van Ort, would you like to respond?
No, that wasn't his question.
Mr. Hahn, would you like to very briefly restate your question?
The question is simply, should the Fort Clark Springs Board of Directors and staff always comply with Texas law and our dedicatory instruments?
Ms. Forrester?
Yes, sir, they should.
Thank you.
Ms. Van Ort?
If it's the law, then yes, we need to abide by it.
Mr. Young?
I sat on the ad hoc committee with Bill Hahn, Dan Sullivan, and Baron and Carol LeBlanc that we rewrote our bylaws and declaratory instruments. We were formed to bring our declaratory instruments and bylaws in compliance with the Texas state law. And it was supposed to be presented in this ballot for a membership vote. I've heard different reasons the reason it hadn't got here, but we did our work in 4 months, and Bill and Dan did most of the work. I either agreed or disagreed with both my opinion, but I think that the membership was served an injustice by not having this on the ballot to vote for our declaratory instruments. Thank you. And yes, we should agree with Texas state law.
Thank you. Mr. Hahn, do you have a redirect?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Oh, we do have somebody moving. I hope it's toward the microphone. Yay!
Good morning. My name is Robert Mummy. I'm a new property owner on Fort Clark, and when I received my packet on June 8th when I signed on the property, I received a financial statement that said that we were $330,000 in the red. My question is, what do future board members plan on doing to help us? And the second part of that question is, is if we're not going to be pushing the amenities of Fort Clark, such as this beautiful pool and the picnic areas for tourism, then why are we putting signs up and paying to have signs on Highway 90 trying to bring people into the fort? So that's my question to all of the board members. How are we going to address this shortfall of money? And why are we putting up signs if we're not trying to bring people into the fort for the amenities here?
Thank you, Mr. Rummy. You can go ahead and have a seat right there in that chair, but I just want you to be close by, and I apologize to our questioners in case you have a redirect. Thank you. You don't need to actually stand the whole time. Mr. Sullivan, you've not been given the opportunity to respond first. I'm going to call you first this time, please.
Thank you. Finances are near and dear to my heart. When I was treasurer of one organization, at the end of my term, they gave me a T-shirt that said, "Spend, spend, spend." There are a number of things that should be done and can be done. It's a very sound concern of yours. We budget for a loss. That amazes me. Every year, our budget comes out and it provides for a loss. It gets very complicated, and I won't have time to get into it all, but some of the things we could do is to have a finance committee and recruit people that have experience with finances and start looking at what we can do to reduce expenses anywhere that it's possible to do that, and decide where our money is best spent in promoting things, whether it be on a billboard on Highway 90 that you can't see when you're driving and the sun is in your eyes, or whatever. But we need people with experience involved to do that. And at the end of the day, which I hate that statement, but at that time, once we reduced our expenses and got all the revenue that we can possibly get from such operations as the motel and the RV park, the revenue at the golf course goes in the wrong direction and something needs to be done there, that's a loss. But once we look at all those things, you have to take the balance divided by the number of members, and that's what our dues have to be. Whether we like them or not, that's the cost of operating here. And that's the way we have to approach it. And of course, the first thing are all the delinquent people. We need to get delinquent people up to date, we need to have them on repayment plans, or we need to be quite honest, get rid of them. If they're not paying, why should the rest of us be paying for some people that aren't paying? So that's a start.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Ms. Van Ort, would you like to respond?
As Mr. Sullivan touched on, it is starting with some of those that are delinquent. There are a lot of people I have heard from others tell me that are delinquent on the sport. We either, as he said, either get them into a repayment form or do something to get them out of here. If they're not paying, they're hurting the rest of us, they're hurting the fort and what we can financially do. I also heard that this year we were not having non-members pay to use the pool. It's stuff like that that we need to continue to do. If we have non-members coming onto this fort to use something, then we need to charge them a fee for it. Advertising that we rent out buildings and stuff on here for venues, be it weddings, dances, whatever it might be. There used to be a lot of that going on, but I don't see a lot of the buildings getting rented out like they used to. We need to promote all of that again also. It's just a lot of different little things we need to start doing to get the money that we need. And watching what we expend and see where can we cut expenses. Are we spending too much on this or too much, not enough on that? And kind of do a bunch of checks and balances and that kind of stuff.
Ms. Forrester, would you like to respond?
What Kat was saying about the activities that were here before, again, we go back to needing volunteers. I mean, I know that the fort would love to do so many things that were done before. Again, we do not have the volunteers. It's something that we do need to work on with the younger generation. My mind's always going in the middle of the day and at night sometimes. And just to try to figure out what can be done to bring in the I've heard, I think in the red, it's really not in the red or something. I don't know. I'd have to be on the board to have a better understanding of it. And I know when John Hodge was here, was advertising and providing, you know, the Groupons and everything. We just need to continue those kind of things, and word of mouth. I mean, word of mouth is an awesome thing, and just continue the progress and moving forward. Thank you.
Mr. Young, would you like to respond?
It's a big problem, and I said on the board before, it was a big problem. We did some advertising and tried to bring memberships in. Our biggest problem is a lot of the membership that were owned before, they have dropped out. And a lot of the quick deeded property that was quick deeded back to us has created a financial burden on the fort. When in the past we had 6,000 memberships, and now we got basically 2,000 memberships. The cost of running the fort hasn't went down. And as Dan Sullivan said, we have to figure out and reach a happy medium on our assessment safety. I know this is a pretty cheap place to live. The RV park is one of the most reasonable in the area. It's a whole lot less than other RV parks. Our pool, a good example is, I believe if you're a non-member, you should be paying to use the pool. There's so many things that you gotta look into to see if we can reduce our financial cost for running this place and to increase the finances that are coming in. I would be scared to death if I got a packet when I bought my membership that said we was running $300,000 in the hole, and I appreciate your concern. And that's all I have to say on it. If I'm elected to the board, I'll definitely check into the finances.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. Would you like to respond?
Yeah, finances is an ongoing problem. We know that. The board knows it, the employees know it, obviously the members know it. But like Garland said, you know, you come and live here, it's fairly cheap. You know, if you want us to be in the black, if you will, do we have to raise rates? Rates were not raised. Am I stopping? No. We hadn't raised rates except for this past year, previously for about 8 years. So, you know, costs went up, revenue did not. So now we have to work on trying to get that straightened out, get what we can do. We need people to come in from the outside to visit this place and spend money here. There are certain venues here that are making money, and there are venues here that don't make any money, because it's an amenity or perk that members get. So you don't pay for a lot of things that cost money to operate. I mean, a perfect example is, it's kind of a limbo organization right now, is the entertainment committee, if you will, which puts on different functions on the fort. Well, that's free stuff to the members. You don't pay for that, but it costs money to do. So we don't have the bulk of memberships here. To get a mass amount of revenue, we have to go outside and get it. And we are working on those things. We're trying to do those things. We're looking at ways we can save. And it's a time thing. Well, I mean, as far as delinquent people, we are collecting. They are collecting, I'm guessing, I'm just telling out a number, but roughly $12,000 to $13,000 a month.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. Thank you. Mr. Partlow, would you like to respond?
I apologize if I revert back to what I'm familiar with, so I may address things in a medical term. Please bear with me. But yes, it's obvious that the fort is hemorrhaging money. You're going to have to get to that transparency I mentioned earlier. You're going to have to put everything on the table, look at the budget, find out, is it all coming from 1 or 2 locations, or is it 1,000 cuts that are causing us to bleed dry? We'll handle those. Is the fort going to incur a tax liability if we take those memberships from people that have not paid? And now instead of gaining money, we've increased the outflow of money because now we're having to pay the taxes that they were responsible for before. It's not gonna be a simple answer. It can be done. It won't be easy, but it can be done.
Thank you. Mr. Rozetsky?
Yes, there's save, 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 and then there's spend, spend, spend. I love the local poll that internationally Texans are known for their frugality. Some people would call it being cheap. I call it saving a dime when you can save a dime and spend it elsewhere. There are clubs and things that may not, per square inch, be paying their own share of utilities. Those are difficult costs to assess because the groundwork and infrastructure was never there to account for it. There are, as I agree with Mr. Partlow, taking over a taxable situation, that's a danger zone for everybody involved. If we buckle up our, pull up our bootstraps, there's other untapped resources we have. During the hunt, we can glean our own Axis deer herd and make jerky with it without having an FDA inspector. That's under the Texas Cottage Law Industries. We have the tools. We don't have them being used to our benefit. As new ideas come up, don't shoot them down, but check your P's and Q's. There's a lot of money being spent to harvest our trees. That's firewood that could be sold. There's fantastic business opportunities, at-home businesses for the cyber surfers out there in the world can work out of their house. I do. I love the taxation structure here. I can stay at home. My business day starts at 2 in the morning at the island of Mauritius off the coast of South Africa. So I'm pretty much beat up by the time you see me in the morning.
Thank you, Mr. Rozetsky. Mr. Mommy, we've been through all of them. Would you like a redirect?
The question as to tourism dollars was not really addressed, and as a high school teacher outside of San Antonio, I would have loved to have brought my students last year when Garner State Park was flooded out here to Fort Clark so that the students could take advantage of the pool for that event. And we did not have overnight accommodations. So I guess that's what I'm kind of getting to is, are we willing to create, say at the commissary, a bunk bed, bunkhouse situation where you can push those types of events?
Thank you, sir. Okay, so the redirect is going to be regarding
Tourism.
tourism. Thank you, sir. Okay, Ms. Forrester, you've not been given the opportunity to respond first yet. Would you like to respond? These responses are limited to 1 minute.
Definitely. We definitely need to come up with ideas to bring in more revenue into the port, definitely. Yes, I agree. The pool, I know they used to have dances, they used to have all kind of activities. I'm sure maybe we need to have a committee that would do that. I know we have the event coordinator. Maybe have a committee work with him to do more events. Thank you.
Okay, I'm looking at Mr. Young, would you care to respond?
As far as tourism and using the commissary building or Seminole Hall and stuff like that, they would have to be refurbished and the inside done so that we could rent them out as we do the motels and stuff. And to be honest, we don't have the money to do that. As far as bringing school kids here and stuff, if it could be set up to have let's say a camp out in the campground over by the RV park, and then have them have use of the pool and stuff like that, that would be something we could promote. On the motel, I don't know how many school kids you were talking about, but if the reservations are made soon enough, we should accommodate quite a few people. I don't know what the capacity of the motel is at the present time, but
Thank
we need to
you.
do that.
Ms. Van Ort, would you care to respond?
I think you're 100% right. We need to get outside people in here. I'm kind of surprised to hear that they turned you down and wouldn't let you bring the school kids here to use the pool. That's what we need to do. It's not just the school kids, it's just any outside person, period, needs to be allowed to come in here and use the amenities and pay a fee to use it. That will help with the money and with us being in the red, and it'll also help get people to in to see this fort and see what we have to offer. I think that's a great idea to let outsiders in. That's all.
Mr. Sullivan, would you care to respond?
Yes. Sounds to me like the gentleman needs to be part of a committee investigating. That's a great idea when you mention what sounds to me like a European-style youth hostel. And that wouldn't be all that expensive to do. Possibly it could be done in Dickman Hall on the second floor, additional rooms. We, I think, need to have additional lodging facilities here. As many times my son has wanted to come from Houston and stay. Now, when he comes, he's got some bucks and he spends money. He goes out to eat here, he plays golf and pays the full rate, but he couldn't come because there were no rooms available. So I think what we can do to increase those lodging, it has to make financial sense, but we need to do that and we need to look at it. And thank you for bringing it up, sir.
Mr. Partlow, would you care to respond?
Yes. I apologize for making the assumption that that was implied in my answer. As a teacher, I'm sure you know what that means. Yes, we do need to bring income from outside sources. Otherwise, you're just using membership money. And that's a finite amount of money. You can't operate a business that way. All right? We've all seen the people that either are walking through or biking through every year that come through this area on their way to Big Bend. That's an untapped resource. Maybe, and I hate to suggest that we talk to the lawyers, but maybe we can find a way to where we can reach an agreement with these people that have not paid their dues to have them allow us use their properties for something like this if they're suitable. Very spitball there. But the point I'm trying to make is we need to think out of the box on it. All right? We need to find a way to do it. It can be done.
Mr. Rosetsky, would you care to respond?
Tourism is pure profit if managed properly. As stated before, some places don't have the infrastructure yet. We can do that safely and precautiously and have such things develop and grow. We're the halfway spot from going from east to west, and how many bikers I've met just coming up the Pecos Trail, want to pull in and didn't even know we're here. You're at the halfway spot. They pull into the library for information. How do I get to Uvalde from here at 5 at night? Well, at 5 at night, you don't want to be on that highway and go through the Border Patrol check station. Why don't you stop here? See what we got. Beautiful place. Customer service is job one, and if we're going to treat people like customers, let's treat them like their beloved. Cash is welcome here, and we hope to see you again.
Mr. Herman, would you care to respond?
Yeah, I think the whole crux to the thing is one word, and that's marketing. We have to market this place to get people to come here, to know what we have here. We are not a closed community. There is a gate, a gated community, but you are allowed to come here and visit. People do come here and visit. They pay a fee when they come in the gate. So it's something that is being worked on, something that is being done. And, you know, I was talking to somebody the other day about Dickman Hall. I think many, many years ago, we used to have what is it, Hoster? What's that word?
Hostel.
Yeah, they used to come here. Right, they used to come here, but then the restaurant closed. So we didn't have the facilities, so they don't come anymore. So if we work toward, and we are working toward opening Dickman Hall as a bar and a restaurant, it'll take some time, but it's working there. You know, we can start marketing this
Thank you,
stuff.
Mr. Herman. Thank you. More questions? Thank you, and I'll tell you what, while you're going up, I'm gonna see how quickly I can get this back up on the screen. Thank you. It is almost, we have 9 minutes and 15 seconds left. Is it pretty soothing? Is that why the audience is so calm?
Leave it up, leave it up.
I'm not responsible for content, only for managing. Thank you.
My name is Dee Curry, and I've lived here since 1989. When we came, the golf course was a viable place. I know that during the time we've lived here, it has drawn many, many people to come and buy property and to move here. During the time that we've lived here, I've seen the golf course change and become uncared for, unkempt, nothing done about the weeds, the stickers that continue to take over and get entrapped in people's vehicles and their shoes and their clothes. It has been treated as if it was not a commodity that is marketable or that is treated in such a way that it would help to draw people here. We're close enough that people can come down from San Antonio and different places to spend weekends for hunting.
Thank you, Ms. Curry.
I'd like to address all of them.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Van Oort, you have not been given the opportunity to respond first. We'd like to do so at this time, please.
In regards to fixing up the golf course, I could sit down if I get voted on board and ask my husband. He used to be a maintenance person on a golf course. He did it for many, many, many years. He started when he was in high school. That's what he was doing up until about 6 to 7 years ago before we even moved to Texas. He would probably have awesome ideas that he could give me that I could present to the board to see what we can do to fix it up. That's one of his biggest gripes about here too, is the golf course and how much it's deteriorating. He goes, we need to do this and that. I would be more than willing to sit down with him and see what I could get him involved in if we have another committee or something to fix that golf course, because I bet you I can get him to help us with it.
Thank you. Ms. Forrester.
I agree. The golf course is probably our, where we get the biggest revenue, and I agree it's neglected quite a bit. Again, we do have volunteers that go out there and work on it, but it's not sufficient. The board does need to invest some money into the golf course, and knowing that it brings in quite a bit of money, both when people come to golf, it brings the people into the motels and to the restaurants. So we definitely need to do something to fix up the golf course, especially since I play there. I agree.
Mr. Rozetsky.
Yes, those are one of the things that I've stressed on infrastructure that's evolved and evolving. I was sat here at my first board meeting. There were more people behind the board than there were in the audience, if you didn't count the cat that the lady had in her purse. I got Mr. Farlow to even break his silence when I suggested, what about your gray water? And the gray water is being used. We're in the off season for the type of grass, so it may look rough now, but with a few great rains, those guys are out there mowing like cats and dogs and putting their best effort into it. And it's a team effort, and maintenance has come a long way in its evolution from when I first arrived to how beautiful we look right now. I worked on golf courses. I can't play golf. I was security at the clubhouse for FBR Open, which is the Kemper Open in the Potomac region. So I'll have to take a marshalling course to be able to say, hold up the sign that says quiet, please, and remember to look at it myself too. There are some people that want to go out there and help, but making it fully capable for every golfer to that level of excellence we're striving for will take some evolutionary time, and we're on a great course with that. The volunteers that have thrown down their sweat and effort and ideas to make this the best we can under the environment we are under have been doing a great job in putting their heart and soul to it. Not every golf course is perfect. Some people use every tree as an opportunity, but it is one of the better places we can find in Texas to play golf. Amen.
Thank you. Mr. Partlow, would you care to respond?
One of the things that I try to always remember whenever addressing problems like this and looking at as large a project as the golf course is that the money doesn't come from thin air. It comes out of your pockets. All right. I have to convince myself that I would be a good steward in committing that money to that one project. Are there better areas? The golf course is a possible moneymaker. All right. If there is the interest in it. If we can look at our data and see that, yes, it will draw people in. I won't blindly commit money and throw money at it. And that goes for any project. I would have to know that we would, in fact, be increasing the profit without sucking money out of everybody else's pockets. Because that's money you've worked hard for. And we need to be good stewards of it.
Thank you. Mr. Young.
Well, I'm a golfer, and I've played on better golf courses, but I gotta commend the golf committee, the people that sit on the golf committee that are trying to bring more tournaments in to bring in more revenue to the golf course. I know that every year we pay a trial fee of $200 annually to ride our golf carts on the course when we're playing golf. And my biggest gripe has always been that $200 that is paid annually to us goes in general funds instead of going into private, separate funds to maintain the trails that are on the golf course. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to that golf course. And I know last year, when the grass was growing with all the rain we had, our gang mower was broken. It was mowing with Dixie choppers and stuff like that, and that's not conducive to having a good golf course. It needs to be fertilized and weed and feed to get rid of the birds and stuff like Ms. Curry was talking about. And it all takes money. A lot of people heard a golf course loses money. The golf course itself doesn't make a profit, but you have to realize that there's other areas that it does benefit, such as people buying homes here so they can play golf. It's a real reasonable course, money-wise, to play golf on. I know a lot of people moved here. I moved here because of the golf course. I patronize the restaurant over there, and I'll patronize the restaurant at Dickman Hall when it's open up. There's a lot of things that can be done, but I'm glad to hear that Ms. Von Orr's husband is an expert on golf courses, because we'll sure draft him.
Thank you. Mr. Herman, would you care to respond?
He'll shoot me for that one.
Yeah, the golf course is a unique problem because there are people that are actually going out playing golf and aren't even paying because they sneak on the golf course. People don't pay their dues, they don't pay their fees. I'm not saying that that's, all people, but that is a money drainer. These people are not paying to play golf. They think you owe them the right to play golf. It is not a perk. This is a business over there. So, but, aside from that, I understand that over the last few times or so that maintenance has gotten better. Of course, it doesn't rain, you don't get wet. They have water, they can use water. Over the years, they were told don't water because it costs too much money in electricity to run the pumps. so don't water. So, you know, all these things come into play, and you have to move forward to make it work correctly.
Thank you. We are in, no, football season is over now, right? We are going into overtime in the interest of fairness. Mr. Sullivan, would you care to respond?
Thank you. I played about 120 rounds of golf on the course this past year, so I would consider myself an avid golfer. The condition of the golf course seems to ebb and flow with our rainfall. The more rain we get, the better it is. But there's all kinds of problems at the golf course. And some of them have already been mentioned. Seeing to it that everyone that plays golf there actually pays to play. The tournaments that are always promoted and are done to bring in revenue and money, it's my understanding that the actual golf course receives $8 per player to cover the green fees for that round. Boy, that's great. I don't know anywhere in the United States you can play 18 holes of golf for $8. Never heard of it. The annual dues, including tax, trail fees, green fees, for me is $922 for the whole year. That includes tax, everything. So I want to thank all you folks that are subsidizing my golf. Something obviously has to be done. The course lost $74,000 in the previous fiscal year. Prior to that, it lost $100 and some thousand the year before. That cannot continue, but it has to be looked at in depth and investigated. What needs to be done? Should the course receive more money from the tournament players? Should we have marshals out there? I was told we were gonna have marshals with the last changeover in management there. Never happened. They weren't there, so the office closed at 6 o'clock. You have people walk out on the course after 6, play golf, never pay a dime. At any rate, it certainly needs to be looked at, and we need to charge the golf committee with that as a responsibility and a goal. We've got to do something about it. And it's true, it does bring in revenue in other places. Have I run out of time?
Yes, sir, you did. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Curry, I do want to give you the opportunity to redirect.
Okay. Before I start, let me get this down real fast. When I came, the fund that what you paid into the golf course stayed at the golf course, and then it was turned over into the general fund. How do you plan to see how much money the golf course is making or not making with the way that it's run at the present time?
Thank you. Okay, and everybody's been given the opportunity to go first, so I'm going to call for volunteers to respond. This is open to everybody. Who would like to go first? Okay, Mr. Young.
When I first got here and paid my dues and stuff like that, the funds were turned over to the general fund, and I think that the finance department has done a pretty good job of saying what will be brought in. Their expenditures as far as the amount of overhead we got is probably more reasonable than most golf courses. But I would like to see all the money that's brought in from the golf course stay in the golf pot, so to speak, so that we can better manage the money that the golf course brings in as far as keep the upkeep on the golf course. And a lot of the upkeep on the golf course is due to equipment need and stuff like this. I know that we have a hard time with money and buying new equipment, but sometimes...
Thank you. Mr. Herman, would you care to respond? Sorry.
Well, the way the golf course operates now, unfortunately, the rest of the board subsidizes it because there's not enough money coming in on the golf course. If you were to put whatever money comes in to the golf course in a separate fund, as a profit, if you will, and then take out your expenses, you're not going to have any money in there right now anyway. So you can't separate the funds at this time the money has to go into the bank and is used to spend on all expenses throughout the fort. The motel makes money, the money's put in the regular fund, it's spent on other things. And there's other businesses like that that do make money here. So you can't separate the monies like that for now. It would be nice if that any business that made a profit, you put the money right back into that particular business, but what about the rest of it? So you can't, I don't think you can put the money in a separate fund now.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan?
I believe your question has to do more with accounting procedures, making sure that the golf course is credited. It's interesting, one of the recent financial statements showed that for that month, the golf course did not sell one beer, did not sell one beverage, did not sell anything. It had zero income from that, and the restaurant had quite an increase in income from those sources. So what we need to do is to have a finance committee, the golf committee, and our accountant sit down together and put together a process and procedure that accurately reflects what's really going on, what expenses are going out, what income is coming in. Right now, I don't believe we really have a handle on that, and as long as we don't, what can we do about it? We gotta know what the problem is, what's existing, what's really revenue and what isn't. And I think that's where we need to start. It's not gonna be easy, but it can be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Forrester, did you want to respond?
Yes, as the saying goes, you gotta spend money to make money, and I understand that, you know, we don't have the money and everything, but it is something that we do need to look into, because, like I said, I do go and play golf on Thursdays with the couples, and really enjoy it, and I know there's a lot of people that love to play golf, so it is important that we figure out a way to put the money into the golf course to bring in more people to play here. And I believe there is a way if we try. Thank you.
Ms. Van Oort?
To answer your question, we can't track it. If it's going into a general fund, then how do we know for sure what the golf course is bringing in and what's going back to the golf course? We need to figure out how to have the separate accounts so we can track exactly what they're making, what they're bringing in, so that we can spend the money to make it better. It should be done with a lot of the other communities on here too, not just the golf course. If the hotel's bringing in certain things, well, we need to know exactly what's coming in from that too. It's across the board with everything. Sorry. I talked with my hands, I'm sorry. But we can't. We just can't track it. We need to have it in that separate account and track it and know for sure what's coming in and what we can do to fix it.
Mr. Partlow? Do you care to respond?
A lot of good points have been brought up. Each office, each organization in Fort Clark Springs Association should be accountable for everything that they spend. They should have internal documentation at least that shows what their budget was, what they spent, if they're having to take more money out of the general fund than they're putting into the general fund, so that you can look at that overall and spot the trends of what's drawing money out and not getting any money back. They've got the saying that was mentioned, you have to spend money to make money. That doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna make money if you spend it. You have to wisely spend money and invest it in something that's going to give you a probability of a return. You can't just throw money out and expect it to blow back in the window.
Mr. Rozetsky?
Yes, in the interest of time, I'd like to address this issue and go to my final statement. Would that be acceptable?
No, sir, just please address this issue. Thank you.
This issue with the golf course is also reflected upon, as I agree with those up and down the board, individual clubs or golf or entities' responsibility fiscally. I believe we now have a comprehensive budget that are accounting for areas that were not used or not accounted for previously. As Ms. Partlow said, we are stewards for their money, not just their money, our own money. I wouldn't want someone reaching into my back pocket anymore to say, well, it's going to the golf course I don't use. It's increasing my property value, because it's not. Why should somebody, and you're welcome for my underwriting your inexpensive golf. Done.
Thank you. No, okay, no, I didn't allow that. So I'm sorry. All right. The actual set time for the forum is over, and now we would move into the closing responses from the candidates. Is there anybody out there who, after leaving this room, is going to fall over because they didn't get to ask their question? Okay, all right. So everybody's good with us going now and proceeding with the closing statement? Thank you. And I know the room is warm. Okay, Mr. Rosetsky, if you would like to begin. Our closing statements will begin with Mr. Rosetsky and then move this way. And each person has 2 minutes to make their final plea for your vote.
Open door allergies. No. I've heard a lot of these things that can just be amplified by those that are here, have been here, have great ideas, and expertly know the frustrations. I hear we've got to keep a low cost at our RV park that's not making money. The RV park's been upgraded, let's upgrade the cost. But that requires excellence in customer service too. When you apply or go to it, you should be treated like a customer, deserving the extra special customer service. The 3 words that stick in my craw the most of, well, we'll underwrite the cost of the golf course because it makes us money. We'll underwrite the cost of a low-cost RV park because they'll first move in and then they'll look around and then they'll buy a place. That's not the case. The 3 words I'm looking at are failed business model. It doesn't work in this generation. The ideas of the past need upgraded to accommodate the future. It's not growing pains, it's evolution. Having people who just know how to use an iPhone can get $15 an hour, according to the paper, up here at the railroad station. Why would they want to work at Fort Clark for less? The youth's involvement could absolutely take this to the next generation, which we all want to. I'd love to bring my great-great-great-grandsons down here, but I know that costs. I'm going to go visit them and just took some vaccines so I can go that way. I was 2 years run, and it gave me a sore throat and a hospitalization, but it's worth it.
Thank you. Mr. Partlow.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for staying here and putting up with the uncomfortable conditions to listen to us. I'll be the first one to admit I don't have all the answers. If I did, I'd be a much wealthier person than I am right now. But I am willing to work towards solutions. All right. It's tough. You cannot solve everyone's problem at once. It's a long process. You have to be willing to get in there and slug it out and focus on one portion until you get that under control. And then you shift your attention to the other portion. Eventually, you'll get there. The old joke, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you all for coming and staying. Appreciate it. We need to learn from the past and move forward to the future. We need to end the divisiveness that's existed on this board, cooperate and work together using common sense, and set aside personal agendas, personal prejudices. When some individual can contribute something very beneficial to the fort, we can't turn him away because we don't like him. We need to look at what he has to offer and take advantage of that. We don't have to take everything, but we need to take advantage of that. So I would ask for your vote so we can work towards that. And as Kent aptly said, neither do I have all the answers, but I do have some ideas. And I'd like to bounce them off some of the other talented people that we have and get as many people from the fort involved in our operation as possible. The more we get, the better. There'll be a lot of good ideas out there and a lot of expertise that we can involve. So I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Herman?
A lot of the things that concerns people had are actually being done, worked on as best we can. We have monies to be concerned about. Obviously, you don't want us to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and show a negative profit on this business. So we are working on some of these problems. We're doing the best we can. We have constraints that we have to abide by. We had a good director not too long ago. I think everybody enjoyed him, liked him, was happy with what he was doing. Unfortunately, he left. So now we're looking at getting another director, which is the leader of the operation. And we need someone like that, and we hope we have gotten one. But everything that we do, we look at money. We haven't got a whole lot of money. Now, do we have to raise rates every year? Do we have to make the dues go up every year? These are things that you have to weigh one way with the other. So we're working on these things. It's slow.
Thank you. Mr. Young?
I agree with, thank you for coming and putting up with me. I sat on the board before, we had the same problems financially as we do now. Some of the questions have been sent out as...
I can hear you, Garland.
So,
Yeah, hold it closer to you. Just hold it closer. You're on.
I'm on. Some questions been sent to me, how come the board approved to buy 2 trucks for the maintenance people? The reason those 2 trucks were bought, because I went down and looked at the electrics, and it was costing an atrocious amount of money to keep the trucks running that we were running. And so we bought 2 new trucks. I had nothing to do with the amount of percentage that we paid on the loan and stuff like that for the truck. We just got the truck, to buy the trucks approved. What I would like to see, if I'm elected, is to go out and talk to the members and bring back any financial problems that they see. I do a lot of volunteering over at Dickman Hall. I've done, give 2 pictures for silent auction for the Fort Clark Days. I put in money up for Dickman Hall. I bought supplies that needed to be done. We have to work as a community. And if we all work as a community, we'll make this place better. And yes, we have financial problems, but I think there's enough people out here in the audience that have the expertise that we can do jobs that we're contracting out now to do. It would cost us no money. I realize that some of you are my age, and it pays to work real hard. And I'm sorry my time went out.
Ms. Van Wert?
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for coming out. Greatly appreciate y'all being here and being very courteous. When you go home to do your ballots and choose your candidates, just pick whoever you think is going to do the best job for this fort, with keeping in mind the best interest of what we need to do and keeping the members, who's going to do what's right for the members. Thank you.
And thank you. Ms. Forrester?
I also thank everyone for coming and listening to us, and hope that the things that we set up here will help you to make your decision. I just would love to work with the board to make decisions that will help us move forward in the progress that has been done so far. I know that things aren't gonna happen overnight, they might not happen in a year, but even one step forward is good. And I hope that, y'all will vote for me. Thank you.
May we have a round of applause for our...
I think all of us up here would also like to thank Allison and Chris for all their effort and work and putting this.
Thank you. I do have my ballot here. It is not marked, so I can show it. Please make sure that when you are filling out your ballot, that you are going to sign your name at the bottom. You use the envelope that came in the mail. It has to be that envelope. When you seal it, don't open it back up again. It's done, okay? And be sure to stamp it. And they all have to be postmarked by... They must be received in the office of the anything received in the office of the auditor after March 16th will not be counted. And I don't know how many of you noticed, it is a new auditor this year. It is one in Uvalde and not one in Del Rio. I do want to thank everybody here for attending this morning. I kind of like this morning. You all made my job really easy. We are having a reception in the auditorium, in the lobby, okay? And Ms. Rowland has told me that the punch and the food is all put out. And I think it's probably cooler over there than it is in here.
It is.
Okay. Thank you all very much for attending this morning. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you being here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, thank you. It was my first thought that you came. I apologize.
It's just not, you can. You bet. Really happy.
You know, you guys don't have to be afraid of picking your animals. I don't want to know. Like
Pardon me just a second, let me grab some chairs here. I understand totally.
What are you?